Listen carefully, gentlemen. There's something you've been missing when it comes to discovering the truth about your wife's secrets. It's not about snooping through her phone or confronting her directly. It's something much more powerful. I'm about to reveal 7 genius phrases that will expose the truth faster than you can say, "I know what you've been hiding." Trust me, these phrases are psychological bombs that'll leave her panicking. But before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? I'm curious. Let's uncover the truth. Phrase 1. I had the most interesting conversation today. Guess who it was with? Imagine this. You're sitting casually with your wife, maybe having dinner or relaxing on the couch. Then you drop this bomb. I had the most interesting conversation today. Guess who it was with? Simple, right? But this is no ordinary statement. It's a psychological trigger that'll send her mind into a frenzy. Here's the deal. The moment those words leave your mouth, her brain starts working overtime. She'll immediately think, who does he know that could expose me? Did he talk to someone who knows what I've been hiding? You're not accusing her of anything, but her guilty conscience will fill in all the terrifying details. Did you speak with someone who might have seen her with her lover? Or maybe someone at work who noticed her suspicious behavior? The beauty of this phrase lies in its ambiguity. You don't give her any concrete information, but you've created a space for her to imagine the worst. This is where the magic happens. Her mind starts to panic. The more she thinks about who you might have spoken to, the deeper she sinks into fear. She might start questioning you. Who was it? What did they say? And here's the key. You stay vague. Keep her guessing. A simple, "Oh, you'll find out soon enough," is all you need to say. This response will trigger an avalanche of questions in her mind. She'll imagine all kinds of possibilities. People who could have seen her or heard something. She'll be consumed by this anxiety, and that's when you'll know it's working. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You don't need to provide answers or fill in the blanks. The silence you leave after saying this will be like a weight in the air, and she won't be able to shake it. Her own guilt will start to surface. She'll begin to interrogate herself, wondering just how much you know. She'll slip up in ways she doesn't even realize. Subtle changes in her behavior, the way she answers your questions, the nervous energy she'll try to hide. The beauty of this phrase is that it doesn't require you to make any accusations. You're simply planting the seed of doubt. Let her mind do all the work, and as she scrambles to cover her tracks, you're one step closer to uncovering the truth. Phrase 2. Funny how the truth always finds its way out. This phrase may seem like just a casual observation, but it's much more than that. It's a quiet psychological weapon that will hit her guilt like a sledgehammer. You're not pointing fingers or accusing her of anything. You're simply stating a universal truth. Secrets always come to light. But for someone who's been hiding something, this phrase will feel like a warning shot across the bow. Imagine you're in a calm moment together. Maybe it's during a routine conversation or while watching TV. You casually say, "Funny how the truth always finds its way out." It seems innocent, right? But as soon as the words leave your mouth, her mind starts racing. Deep down, she knows exactly what you're referring to. She knows that secrets, especially the kind she's been hiding, have a way of surfacing, no matter how carefully they've been buried. This isn't about you accusing her outright. It's about reminding her of the inevitability of the truth. Here's the magic. You're not putting her on the defensive. You're not saying, "I know what you've done," or even hinting at it. Instead, you're speaking to a universal fear. When someone is hiding something, especially in a relationship, they're always living in fear of being discovered. That fear is constantly gnawing at them, no matter how good they are at pretending everything is fine. You just reminded her of that uncomfortable truth, and now she's vulnerable. What makes this phrase so powerful is its simplicity. You're not threatening her with consequences or directly confronting her, yet she feels the pressure. Her guilty conscience takes over, and she starts to wonder, what if I'm caught? Even if she doesn't immediately show it, you've planted the seed of fear, and it's going to grow. Now, pay attention to her body language. You might notice small signs that tell you your words hit their mark. Does she tense up? Does she look away, suddenly avoiding eye contact? Or does she become unusually defensive, trying to justify something she hasn't even been asked about yet? These are all signs that your subtle reminder has pushed her buttons. You see, this phrase works because it doesn't accuse her outright, but it does something far more effective. It forces her to confront her guilt. The fear of being exposed builds up as she starts to question how long she can keep the lie hidden. And that's when the real cracks begin to show. By planting this seed, you've set her on edge, and it will only get worse as the conversation progresses. The truth has a funny way of coming out, and now she knows it's only a matter of time. Phrase 3, I think we should talk about where we're headed. This simple phrase is deceptively powerful, and here's why. Picture this. You're sitting together, maybe during a quiet evening or a casual moment. You've noticed some changes, something feels off. Then you casually drop it. I think we should talk about where we're headed. For a woman who's hiding something, this phrase is like a pressure cooker. It sounds completely harmless, right? But it's anything but. The moment those words leave your lips, her heart will skip a beat. Why? Because it forces her to think about the future, and for someone living with a secret, that's terrifying. Here's how it works. When you say, where we're headed, you're not just talking about the present, you're talking about commitment, trust, and honesty, things she's likely jeopardizing. You've just opened the door to a serious conversation about the future, one that may not include her if she's been lying. The fear of facing the consequences of her actions is what will hit her hardest. Now you've got her attention. She'll start wondering, what's he thinking? Does he know something? Is he about to confront me? You've just introduced uncertainty, and that's a huge trigger for anyone with a guilty conscience. She'll begin to imagine every worst-case scenario and wonder how much you know. Here's the kicker. Cheating women often compartmentalize their actions, building a separate world to hide their secrets. But when you bring up the future, you force her to confront the real consequences of her actions. She can't avoid it anymore. The tension will mount as she starts realizing that you're not just talking about a casual conversation. You're talking about the future of your relationship. What happens next can go in many directions. She might try to brush it off, play it cool, or deflect with some excuse. Or she might start cracking, letting slip little details she wasn't prepared to share. Either way, the seed of doubt and fear you've planted is now working in your favor. The beauty of this phrase is in its ambiguity. You don't need to make accusations. You've just given her the chance to come clean on her own terms. And if she doesn't, the pressure will only continue to build, leaving her with no choice but to face the truth. Phrase 4, you've been different lately, want to tell me why. This phrase might seem like a simple observation, but trust me, it's a masterstroke in psychological pressure. It's subtle, gentle, and almost playful, but for someone who's hiding something, it's like a bullet to the heart. Let me break it down for you. Imagine this. You've been noticing subtle changes in her behavior. She's more distant, more secretive with her phone. Perhaps she's more defensive or irritable than usual. Instead of diving into a confrontation, you casually say, "You've been different lately. Want to tell me why?" Now, here's why this works. You're not making an accusation. You're simply pointing out a shift in behavior. But for someone who's hiding a secret, this question feels like a trap. Why? Because it's an open invitation for her to either admit what's going on or try to explain herself, and neither option is easy. When you ask her this, her brain immediately jumps to the defensive. Does he know something I don't? Is he on to me? The moment you mention that she's different, her mind will start racing through everything she's been doing differently. Is she being secretive with her phone? Has she been texting at odd hours? Maybe she's been colder toward you or more critical in an effort to justify her actions. All of this will run through her head in a matter of seconds. Here's the psychological trick. You're not accusing her of anything directly. You're simply giving her the chance to explain, to justify her actions. And that's where the pressure comes in. She can't deny that something is different. If she tries to play it off like nothing has changed, she's immediately on the defensive. The more she denies, the more you know. Guilt loves to hide, and she'll start covering her tracks with weak excuses. "I've just been stressed at work," or "I'm just tired." But if she was really hiding something, these excuses are like red flags. The trick is to let her dig herself deeper. You don't need to push hard. Let her explain and watch for the inconsistencies in her story. This subtle interrogation will start to unravel her defenses. And even if she manages to deflect, the fact that you noticed and called it out has already planted a seed of doubt in her mind. She can no longer pretend everything is normal. The cracks are starting to show. This phrase works because it taps into her own guilt. She knows something's wrong, and now she's forced to confront it, even if she's trying to hide it. You've just given her an opening to confess, but whether she does or not, you're one step closer to the truth. Phrase 5. I'm meeting with someone tomorrow who might clear things up for me. This phrase is a masterclass in creating uncertainty and fear. It's subtle but powerful, making her feel like the ground beneath her is shifting. The beauty of this tactic lies in its simplicity. No accusations, no direct confrontations, just a suggestion that you might have access to information that could expose her. Imagine you casually say, "I'm meeting with someone tomorrow who might clear things up for me." You don't say who or what they know, but you've planted a seed of paranoia. Her mind will immediately go into overdrive, trying to figure out who this person is. Could it be a friend who knows too much? Maybe a coworker who saw something suspicious? The possibilities are endless, and each one sends her deeper into panic. What makes this so effective is the uncertainty you've created. She doesn't know who you're meeting or what this person knows, which leaves her vulnerable. The idea that someone could be holding information about her affair or secret life, whether real or imagined, terrifies her. She might even try to find out who you're meeting with or what they know, and that's a sure sign she's rattled. The beauty of this phrase is that it doesn't require you to actually meet anyone. The suggestion alone is enough to trigger her guilt and anxiety. The more she questions, the more she reveals about her own fears and insecurities. By saying this, you've shifted the power dynamic in your favor. She's left wondering what you know and how much you're about to uncover. The suspense and fear you've created will slowly unravel her defenses, pushing her toward confession, or at the very least, making her more paranoid about what might come next. Phrase 6. I just want the truth from you, not anyone else. This phrase is a masterstroke in psychological manipulation. It sounds simple enough, but its power lies in the way it shifts the balance of control in your favor. With just a few words, you're not only giving her the opportunity to come clean, but also implying that you already have access to the truth from other sources. Let me break down why this is such an effective tactic. Picture this. You've been subtly building the tension, and you can feel the walls starting to close in around her. Then you drop the bomb. I just want the truth from you, not anyone else. It seems like a reasonable request, right? But in reality, it's much more than that. Here's the psychological magic at play. When you say, I just want the truth from you, you're implying that you've already gotten information from other sources, whether that's from mutual friends, co-workers, or even things you've observed yourself. You're not giving away specifics, but you've subtly planted the seed that you might already know more than she thinks. This creates a sense of urgency. She now realizes that the longer she waits, the more control she loses over the narrative. You're not demanding a confession, but you're offering her a chance to take charge of the situation before someone else does. It might seem like a gift, an opportunity to confess on her terms, but it's also a calculated move to put her under pressure. If she chooses to stay silent, you've just positioned yourself to know the truth from another source, and she loses the chance to tell it herself. This makes her feel like she's already losing control. Here's where it gets even more powerful. You've implied that other people are involved, even if they aren't. This could be a coworker who noticed something, a friend who has suspicions, or anyone who could potentially expose her. The uncertainty of who might already be talking about her behind her back is enough to make her paranoid. She now has to wonder who you've been speaking to and how much they know. Her own imagination will run wild, filling in the blanks with scenarios that only increase her anxiety. This phrase is subtle emotional manipulation at its finest. It makes her feel like the only option is to confess or risk losing all control of the situation. Whether she comes clean or not, the psychological pressure you've applied has already shifted the power dynamic in your favor. When you say, "I just want the truth from you," you're not just asking for honesty, you're pushing her to make a decision, to confess, or to let her guilt and fear take over. The moment of truth is here, and it's now in her hands. Phrase 7. If there's something I should know, now is the time to say it. This is the ultimate psychological ultimatum. You've laid the groundwork with subtle pressure, planting seeds of doubt and fear. Now, with one simple phrase, you push everything to the brink. The moment you say, "If there's something I should know, now is the time to say it," you've made it clear. It's decision time. She either comes clean now or faces the consequences of her inaction. Let me explain why this phrase is so powerful. First, let's talk about urgency. You're not asking her if she has something to say. You're stating that this is the final opportunity. The phrase implies that if she doesn't speak up now, there will be no chance for her to control the narrative later. She can't avoid the conversation anymore. The clock is ticking. This psychological pressure forces her to act. She may not have been ready to confess, but now you've boxed her in. This phrase also implies a sense of fairness. You're not demanding a confession. You're not pointing fingers. You're simply saying, "If there's something important that I have a right to know, now is the time to tell me." It's a clever tactic because it frames the conversation not as an interrogation, but as a matter of justice and fairness. You're asking her to be honest, to treat you with the respect you deserve, especially if there's something you should be aware of. But here's the kicker. This phrase plays into the guilt and paranoia that she's already feeling. If she's been hiding something, whether it's a lie, an affair, or anything else, she's already been living in fear of being discovered. Every time you ask her questions, every moment of doubt, she's been waiting for this moment. She knows this is it, her last chance to come clean. And if she doesn't, the consequences of her silence are unknown, but likely more terrifying than the truth itself. When you say, "Now is the time to say it," you imply that time is running out. There is no more room to hide, no more chances to avoid the truth. And if she doesn't take the opportunity to confess, you're already mentally preparing for the possibility that you will find out another way, and it will be much harder for her to recover from the fallout. This phrase pushes her to the edge. She knows that after this, things will never be the same. She'll either come clean and regain a small amount of control, or she'll live in fear of being exposed. Either way, the psychological weight of the moment is unbearable, and it's all because you gave her the final push. See you in the next video.